I'm Kat.
I'm Arden 13.
Welcome to our show, World Tiger.
Building Dragon.
Today we are continuing with another one of World Anvil's summer camp prompts.
Summer Camp is a program set up by the World Anvil team to promote world building as well as the community in general.
There'll be a total of 33 prompts all throughout the month of July, so if you're looking to win some prizes for your submissions, don't miss out.
World Anvil is a free in-browser tool that has everything that a world builder, a GM, or a writer may ever need.
They also have some really incredible subscription options, so make sure to check those out as well.
Totally worth it and affordable. If you're interested, please consider checking them out. But in any case, I think it's time we got to the prompt. What is our prompt?
Today we get to write about a food-based celebration from our world. I'm so excited. I have something specifically for this. This one was made for me. I am pumped.
I don't know what I'm gonna do.
You have no idea?
I have no idea what I'm gonna do.
I feel like they balance out. Like, some of them you're like, I know exactly what I'm writing about, and I have no idea. And other ones it's like...
It's flip-flopped.
It keeps flip-flopping. Yeah.
I would agree. I would agree with that. I still have no idea what I'm gonna do.
Okay.
But what I know is going to happen is that the two of us have given ourselves some parameters in order to complete this summer camp project. Each of us has 30 minutes to answer the prompt.
Each of our submissions have to be at minimum 300 words.
After the 300 words and our 30 minutes are up, the two of us will come back together and share what we came up with.
Some of our best ideas come from our collaborations.
God, I hope they do. You ready for this?
Yes.
Let's...
Time skip! We're back! What did you do?
I figured out what I was gonna write about.
Okay.
Granted, I looked at the timer when I finally got the inspiration in order to do it, and like 13 minutes had passed.
Ooh.
But I got it done, and and what you guys didn't see is because we were sitting writing, and I looked over at Kat and I said, "Is it okay if I do something incredibly messed up?"
And I said yeah, because I don't know what that means, so go for it.
So I got something in mind.
Okay, well, do we want to start with your dark, spooky, whatever you're about to come up with, or do we want to start with my...
Let's end on a lighter note.
Okay.
Shall we? Shall we?
Well, what did you come up with?
So that worked out better than I expected. Anyway, so in Ellecrid, a little bit of context. In Ellecrid, there is a country, a territory called the Nocturna Coast. Kat loves it there. It is the only sovereign nation in the world known to be ruled by vampires. Mm-hmm. Just kind of a thing that I enjoyed when I was building it. It is divided into 4 sections, 4 provinces. I'm not going to go into the exact details on the names of the provinces, but each of the provinces are ruled by a higher vampire. A very powerful vampire. For those of you more familiar with World of Darkness, they're probably generation 2 to 3. Like, they're antediluvian levels of power. Which most people, if anyone does watch World of Darkness and hears that, goes...
They're not nice.
They're not nice people. But this person is particularly not nice. So the food festival that I came up with is called Sterben's Hunt. Sterben is the name of one of these vampire lords.
I see where this is going.
He is actually the youngest. You might think where this is going. It takes a turn.
Oh, God.
And then it turns right back probably to where you think it's going. Anyway, Sterben is the youngest of these vampire lords, of these antediluvian vampire lords, who rules from an area in a very densely wooded province called the Dark Oak Estate, or the Darkwood Estate. It's very lavish, very bougie in that respect. Sterben himself is incredibly cruel, but he is the youngest, and he has this birthday celebration called that is a hunt. But on this birthday celebration, people aren't exactly sure whether or not it's his actual birthday or the day that he was embraced into vampirism,
Ah.
where he became a vampire. People aren't necessarily sure about that, but this hunt in particular, this event, is what gets him the title of one of the cruelest vampires out there, in comparison to his older brother, Marcus, who everyone looks at as being, since he's the oldest and the most ruthless, he's the most cruel. But where Marcus is more of the hands-on, like, rah-rah, I will beat you into a pulp kind of ruthless, Sterben is a little more manipulative and tactical about this.
Okay.
So, here's how this happens, and I will, people are unsure, I'm just going to go down the list here, and not jump around like I normally do. In terms of history, people are unsure, there are rumors abound, that the Sterben's hunt was started in honor of his best friend, or it was a birthday celebration, or it was in honor of the first person he ever sired. So in honor of that first child that he had. Of course, that first child is still around, but they have neither confirmed nor denied that this hunt is about them, because it's a birthday celebration for Sterben anyway, so they don't really care. The other one is that this hunt was created in response to a great tragedy that Sterben suffered, a great betrayal of a close druid friend of his named Melisara. And she is a legendary figure, or at least in the legend of Sterben, she is a legendary figure whom I haven't fleshed out entirely what I want to do, but now I can, because I have a name to the face.
Yes.
And I'm super excited about it. In the execution, Sterben's hunt is, in essence, a hunt. But it is a hunt at the end of a week long of celebrating and frivolity in honor of Sterben's birthday. Over the course of this week, he invites his entire family, his entire clan, his entire brood, everyone that he has ever sired and his sires have ever sired. They all come to the estate, and they, for a week, party. Just wild, crazy, I'm talking Marquis de Sade parties.
Okay.
But at the end of it is where they have this hunt. And I keep saying the hunt, and I keep not telling you what is about.
It's driving me crazy. What happens?
So here's what happens, and this is how I kind of have to jump a little bit here to the observance, or the participants, really. The participants and their roles. This is how the hunt works. At the beginning of the week, when his people arrive, all of his children all of his children who want to participate in the hunt, in this specific sect of it, present him a tribute. Present him a mortal or a non-vampire to basically be a tribute. And if Sterben approves of this individual, they are then given the title of tribute, and their sponsor is now the sponsor of said tribute. And so a lot of people, I told Mal about this a little while ago, and he's like, okay, so it's like the Hunger Games. I was like, it's a little bit different than the Hunger Games. And I wasn't thinking about the Hunger Games besides the fact that I kept using the word tribute.
Right.
But here's how this works. For that entire week, the tribute is lavished, they are celebrated, they are adorned with like fine wines and perfumes, they live the highest of high lives.
Like the Hunger Games?
Like the Hunger Games. However, over the course of that week, any other tribute can make an attempt on that tribute's life. Can try to kill them, can try to incapacitate them, immobilize them, hurt them in some way, shape, or form, so when it comes time for the hunt, they will have a disadvantage. They will be at a disadvantage. Whereas the sponsor can do the same thing to other tributes, or help their tribute get the upper hand on another tribute. They cannot physically participate.
Right, but they can kind of guide.
But they can kind of like guide. They can, weasel their way and so on and so forth.
Got it.
On the day of the hunt, or I do say here, on the day of the hunt, or rather the night of the hunt, the tribute, there's a ceremony that the tribute undergoes where they are basically washed and given essentially last rites of their last rites of their life, and they are put into a kennel. And within this kennel, They have until the time that they get put in the kennel to the sound of the horn blast, signaling the beginning of the hunt, to put together, they're put into it naked, and they have to put together some sort of a clothes, some sort of a kit, gear, weapons, whatever, in order to survive the entire night in the forest. At the sound of the horn blast. I love this. At the sound of the horn blast, all of the kennels are thrown open, and the tributes, however many there are meant to rush out into the woods surrounding the Dark Oak Estate and find a banner of Sterben. Like, you know, the banner's just stuck in the ground.
Right.
They have to find it, grab it, and carry it back to the estate in order to be crowned the victor. But on the way there, they have to fight all of the tributes. They have to fight their way through the tributes. They have to fight their way through anything else that's in the woods. Further, every hour, Sterben signals for some other thing to be released into the woods. And that could be, you know, dire wolves, that could be other monstrosities, that could be a hunting party of vampires. It's just how he's feeling. And he releases them in to further complicate the tribute's entire situation.
Oh my god.
However, 3 times over the course of this night, a sponsor may also release something to assist their tribute, whether or not that is aid, whether or not that is a functioning weapon, or something else. They may do that, but only 3 times over the course of the entire night. Now, you might be wondering, this is supposed to be a food festival. Where do we get to the food? Well,
it's not nice to play with your food, Sterben.
The tribute who arrives, who wins, who is crowned the victor, the last tribute alive, who carries back the standard and places it in the plinth, what have you, is crowned the victor and gets their reward. Their reward is that the sponsor, their sponsor, the vampire who sponsored them, gets to turn them. And their first meal is all of the dead tributes from the hunt. And anyone else that they killed.
Oh my god.
And in this way, Sterben grows his family.
That's the worst family reunion I've ever heard.
That is the...
Oh, I don't like the running around in the dark. I don't like the vampire issue. I don't like the idea that they're getting pampered beforehand. That's kind of cool. And the one, you know, like they're thrown in and they're told they have nothing on their back. They're just given whatever they can fashion and then thrown out into the middle of the night. I kind of like that. Everything else is a no-go for me.
They're not told. The tributes are not told what the reward is. They are told an unknown,
no!
They're told unknown riches and like an invaluable gift is how it is phrased to them. They have no idea. Many of them are thinking like, okay, so I'm gonna do this, and then I'm gonna like maybe I'll be able to ask for my freedom. No, you're in the family now.
Oh my god.
You're a vampire now.
And you have to come back every year to watch someone else go through this, because now you're part of the family.
Mm-hmm. But by that time, you know, a lot of people would be like, oh, well, then Sterben his entire family is a bunch of people that hate him. It's like, well, that's once every year. That's not including the people who actively want to be in the family, that seek out to be embraced into the family, which, you know, is few and far between, but like, you know, Sterben doesn't care, because the people that are the sponsors, the vampires who are sponsoring mortals, are not his children or his grandchildren anymore. They don't care. He's got like 4 generations between him and the next dude who's like, I went through all of this hell and now my reward is being turned into one of you. No, I'm gonna kill you. No. Good luck.
Yeah.
You've got so many people to get through. Who do you know who I am? Oh, I had a lot of fun.
That's... don't get me wrong. I love what you came up with, but that's really dark.
Yeah,
and
I don't know where I went. I don't know where my mind went.
You fell into the Hunger Games a little bit there on accident.
Oh,
Vampire Hunger Games.
A little bit. And if I may comment, we mentioned briefly about how some of the prompts were tailored, you know, it felt like they were tailored to you, other prompts felt were tailored more to me, and it was like, that was really cool. But it's moments like these when I look at, and I don't know exactly what you wrote about, but I have an inkling about what you wrote about, and I'm really excited to hear about it. But I was really hyped the fact that out of something that I had no idea,
you just poof.
This thing just came out of my brain, which is also kind of scary.
Yeah. Came up with that in 18 minutes, or 17 minutes?
17 minutes. I'm done though.
Okay.
That's Sterben's Hunt. It's a birthday feast.
Okay. Ugh. No, let's not call it that.
What you got? Bring us back to the wholesome.
Something a little lighter. I bring us to Fuglen, the land of rolling hills and flowers and gnomes and halflings, bright blue skies, no monsters lurking in the dark at night, just happy, lively people. And on these days, you have the harvest of Napples. I briefly talked about this when we talked about the birthday celebrations in Fuglen, but during these Napple harvests, it is a grand celebration throughout the whole country. So you have, Napples are little they're a little bit bigger than cherries, but they're bright red. They grow on bushes, and there is this, it's just like a cherry with a big old pit in the middle of it. They're everywhere in Fuglen. They're kind of an invasive species, like they're starting to stretch out around the world, and people aren't really okay with that. They really don't provide any nutrition per se. However, what I've written down in here is that the flesh of the berry, so I don't want to call it flesh anymore. I wrote down flesh of the berry in here, and I can't write that anymore after yours. No, the actual berry part are actually poisonous, and they kind of lull you into a sleep, so it kind of causes you to crash. But the core is actually filled with caffeine. So most people will just, if they're walking down the road, they'll just take a bite out of it, and they're like, oh, I'll take the core out, and then they're, flat on their butts later because they just fall asleep. Nothing too bad. Most of the time you can't eat enough of them to hurt yourself because you pass out. But in essence, what happens in Fuglen is during the harvest, there is a week-long harvesting period of all the Napples in Fuglen. Every Napple bush is picked clean. After that, all of the cherries are removed, or the berry part is removed from the core. They're separated, washed, cleaned, all of that. And that's where the fun begins. People begin to get a little creative as to what they can do with this berry. A lot of the time they cook something called Napple pie, which is where you take the actual fruit of the berry, mix it with sugar, and you kind of create this like jam filling, and then with the core you crush it up and you create kind of like a pie crust. You bake it, throw it all together, and when you eat it, not only are you getting the caffeine, you're also getting the falling asleep effect. So it is this weird, your brain does a little loopy thing, which is what they're all about. So during this time, it is, like I said, week-long harvest. I wrote on here, blacksmith forges are turned into ovens, carpenter's hammers are used for crushing Napple cores, every hand is used to decorate the towns. It is a huge celebration. 24 hours before the beginning of the actual festival itself. By the way, they have this down to a science. They know exactly what day of the year. These Napples will be perfectly ripe. They know exactly how many days it will take to get everything prepared. It is a huge deal. Afterwards, they will, 24 hours before the beginning of the festival, all of Fuglen will go into fasting. which is crazy because there's halflings and gnomes living there, and they're constantly snacking. So the fact that they're fasting is insane. Part of the economy drops on this day. And then, after that...
For good reason.
And after that, they just eat these pies or pastries or whatever else, and they just stuff their faces with Napple pastries and have a great weekend. That is pretty much what I wrote about. As far as participant, every member of society, no matter age, class, or race, is involved somehow in the celebration. From picking the fruits, sorting out the core, baking, decorating, it doesn't really matter to them. You will be involved. Now, governors of Fu Glen highly recommend that the consumption of Napple delicacies should be reserved for those of adequate age and health. That is all they say. So whatever you deem adequate age and adequate health, go for it. I think I wrote a little bit about the history and just that Napples were known to be kind of this poisonous berry where they do have, like if you're sick or if you're struggling to fall asleep, you will have a little bit of Napple jam before you go to bed. And it is just that little, the berry part, and it'll help you fall asleep easier. Or maybe if you struggle to get up in the morning, you'll crush up some of the core of an apple, and that'll give you that caffeine boost to get ready in the morning. But it was only a matter of time before they realized, the gnomes and the halflings of Fu Glen realized the combination of the two and what that could do for them.
It was only a matter of time.
It was only a matter of time before the gnomes figured this out. So, the gnomes say the gnomes figured it out. The halflings say they figured it out. It's one of those fun things.
Okay.
Kind of going back to the story elements I came up with. I wrote kind of like what would it be like walking through the streets of Fu Glen during this process. So I wrote down the streets of Dartai. The streets of Dartai, lined with lights and streamers, blur with a hazy glow. Shapes and shadows breathe in crowded alleys, while half-closed lids hide dilated pupils. Furs wiggle, leather morphs, and unknown voices whisper at those in the quiet courtyard to rest for a while, but never stop moving. It's just this, this is wrong. This is not good.
Do this every year.
They do this every year. It's a grand celebration of, if you asked
Napples.
If you asked a halfling, they'd just say it's part of our culture. It is a celebration of who we are and life of the party, and yeah.
I see. So I hope it's translating well on camera of just how visibly
I'm so
excited you are to talk about
this. This is something that I've had in Theatrum for a while. I don't know where it came from.
Who cares?
I don't think it matters. It's just this idea of I don't know, halflings and gnomes getting messed up for a weekend. Why not? So, Napples do have genuine use in general. Like I said,
absolutely.
They can be used for different things, but just the idea that they make them into these pies that look so delicious, and then you have a slice in and you are gone. I'm trying to think of anything else that I wrote.
You wrote about a wholesome family function.
Oh, I hope it's... it is a family function. The exact wording I have on here is very vague of adequate age and adequate health, because,
my kid's 2 years old and can munch with his choppers. Here you go!
No, bad idea. But, yeah, that's all I got.
That's really cool. I can't ask you. Normally, I would ask you, was there any part in particular that you were really excited to write about? But it was the whole thing. It was the whole thing. I remember when you first told me about Napples, and among a couple of other different fruit or just edible in Theatrum, and your excitement then is the same as your excitement now. There is no in between.
No.
This is really nice. This is
it.
really cool because it also takes the idea of, we understand, or the stereotype of halflings and gnomes are the life of the party. They eat too much. They just hang out all the time. But this gives a genuine and wholesome, honestly, reason and justification for that tradition. I really dig it. I like that a lot.
But yeah.
It's very nice. Very fun.
Mine was kind of fun, and yes, it's kind of a little dark, because this is, like, don't do that to yourself, or you put yourself to, like, take something that makes you fall asleep and then give you something that gives you energy. That's not a good
goodbye,
combination.
serotonin.
That's an awful thing to do to yourself. But they have fun with it, so I guess that's all that matters. As I was saying that, I was like, well, I'm sure your vampires have fun with whatever the heck they're doing, so maybe that's not all that matters. Oh, no.
That's all I got.
That's all I got.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Let us know in the comments below something you enjoyed about today's video, or if you have an idea that you're willing to share.
If you enjoyed today's video, please make sure to hit all those buttons that everyone else bugs you about. We'd love for you to join our lunch table.
And go check out World Anvil if you're interested.
You guys have been great. I'm Kat.
I'm Arden13. I'm still waiting on that ramen.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.